Hey there, I'm Rocky Cox, and I'm happy to have you join me for a short look into the fly fishing experiences available in Tennessee. I was born and raised just outside of Knoxville, which put trout water about 30 minutes away from me in any direction. I suppose I took having great trout water in my backyard for granted as a kid, but as I grew up, I began seeing the world outside of my Smoky Mountain home, and I realized just how blessed we were in East Tennessee. I began guiding fly fishermen around the rivers and streams of East Tennessee in 1999. Initially, it was a way to stay connected to the fish and make a few bucks on days I wasn't swinging a hammer at a real job, but it didn't take long to fall in love with guiding and showing off the great fishing Tennessee had to offer. Part-time became full-time and visiting anglers became clients, then became friends, and eventually it became like a second family to my family. Showing off my Tennessee trout waters to my clients has been one of my greatest pleasures in life, and now I'm just as thrilled to show it off to you. Hundreds of watersheds and thousands of rivers lay across the country. Each of these colored regions represents one of those watersheds, the largest being the Mississippi River watershed, which is where you'll find the world-class trout waters of Tennessee. Tennessee is home to several of the top trout rivers in the country: the Clinch River, the South Holston Watauga Rivers, the Holston River proper, and the Caney Fork River are just a few of the quality tailwaters found in the Volunteer State. These rivers are extremely fertile, flowing for countless miles through rich farmlands and over limestone river bottoms. This allows lush vegetation and aquatic invertebrates to thrive in the rivers, providing great cover and a bounty of forage to feed on. The rest of the ingredients for incredible trout fisheries were provided by the Tennessee Valley Authority. The TVA began building dams in the Tennessee Valley in 1933, and a lot of things changed as those dams came online. The people of Tennessee now had a reliable source for cheap electricity, new safety nets that tamed the mighty Tennessee River during heavy rains, and a lot of cold water. Waters that once flowed warm in the summer were now icy cold year-round as they flowed from the bottom of 300-foot deep lakes. The waters discharged from the bottom of the reservoirs ranged from the mid-40s in the winter to the mid-60s in the heat of summer. The water conditions really couldn't be much better. The Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency manages most of the Tennessee tailwaters as trophy trout streams, using progressive regulations like protected slot lengths and conservative bag limits to enhance the trophy potential. Anglers are likely to catch a good many 11 to 13 inch trout on any given day, but rainbow and brown trout in the 15 to 20 inch slot are fairly common as well. Spending a day on one of Tennessee's fine tailwaters is a day very well spent. Beautiful scenery, exceptional water quality, and strong, healthy fish. What's not to love about fly fishing for trout in Tennessee? Every morning I meet my clients, and sometimes it's hard to tell who's more excited: my anglers who are maybe seeing the river for the first time, or myself, having spent thousands of days on Tennessee's trout streams. Every day the river is new, and what I saw yesterday is many miles closer to the Gulf of Mexico, while what's to come is falling from the sky and running downhill every minute. The excitement grows as you spot that first trout rising out of the corner of your eye, and you know that your fishermen are in for a great day on the river. We shove off with a pocket full of freshly tied flies and a couple of fully armed fly rods, and it's not long before somebody has a tight line. A bent rod held high over the water, flexing from the pressure of a hard-charging rainbow trout, isn't enough to let you know how big the prize is at the other end of your line. Trout in the Tennessee tailwaters are notorious for being hard-fighting fish. It's not uncommon to see rainbow trout flying through the air many times, in between 15 to 25-foot reel dragging runs. Sometimes we're surprised when we catch a 12-inch rainbow trout that we knew was 20 inches just before it hit the net. Then there's the times when the fish is twice as big as we thought it was and barely fits in the net. Of course, every fish that spits a hook breaks us off, or we miss the strike. Well, those fish grow an inch a minute and truly become legendary from year to year. All of our East Tennessee rivers flow through beautiful places, and I often joke that there's not an office in the world that has a better view than my fiberglass office. We cover many miles of water every day and the scenery never lets us down. The rolling hills and mountains provide a lovely stage for us to fish through during every season, and every season fish is a little different, but our overall success is usually considered to be very good days on the water, no matter if we're talking about the fishing in the spring, summer, fall, or winter. East Tennessee is open year-round and your trophy brown trout can be one cast away up under that sycamore limb near the bank. We find the best fishing by getting away from the public access areas. Our drift boats allow us to get into very shallow areas where most watercraft can't go. Many days pass without ever seeing another boat or an angler. Maybe Joe the governor, but Joe's in the league all by himself. Our boats are comfortable and offer a great platform to fly fish from. You have a great perspective looking into the runs and riffles and are also safely locked into the boat so you can go after those tough seam lines with gusto. Fly fishing isn't always the easiest method for catching trout, or any other fish for that matter, but it is the most fun. Playing the fly pattern chess match with the fish and winning on light fly tackle is as rewarding as it is exciting. We employ a lot of different techniques and styles to entice the fish, and most days are filled with plenty of action. Small victories for us and some truly heroic action by the fish. You need to understand that the fish know when your attention drifts away, and that's when they'll eat your fly. Every time. Guaranteed. You'll miss a bunch of strikes, and the truth is we all do. It's a part of the experience that keeps it exciting and keeps us on our toes, because you never know what that next cast may bring. And then it happens. You hook into that fish you've been waiting for all day, all year, all your life. Your heart beats as fast as the line peeling off your reel. I'm shouting instructions, and for a brief moment it seems like it's all just happening too fast. With the softest touch, you raise the rod and turn the trout. It jumps 3 feet out of the water and your heart skips a beat, but now your confidence is growing as you raise the rod high and ease the trophy trout into the net. A moment frozen in time where everything was just right. It could have been a million miles away from all the worries of the world. For a brief second, nothing else mattered. It was just two worthy adversaries after the battle. A moment of smiles, laughter, and celebrating the release of a great trophy trout. Everyone enjoys fly fishing for different reasons. For some, it's their release from their day-to-day routines. For others, it's all about the pursuit of catching a better fish than the last fish they released. Yet others seem to care less if they catch any fish at all and seem to be in their happy place just floating down the river. Fly fishing is everything to me, and I know the biggest part of my pleasure comes from seeing one of my anglers smiling while holding a trophy fish. Every day spent fly fishing on an East Tennessee river is a brand new adventure, and I absolutely love every minute of it. The wild and scenic rivers of East Tennessee are home to some great trout fishing. They're also home to a lot of wildlife. Geese, ducks, and green herons are common, and spring wouldn't be spring without hearing the turkeys gobbling on the ridgeline. It turns out many of the best anglers on the river aren't even fly fishermen. The great blue heron, one of nature's stealthiest and most successful anglers, wading with precision stealth and armed with a lightning-quick strike, they pose a great risk to the trout. And with several heron rookeries on the river, we'll be competing with the herons for a long time to come. And here's another fine fisherman, the osprey. There's nothing quite like watching them soar through the air as they search for a target, hovering briefly before they dive bomb the water from over 100 feet high. The Tennessee River watershed attracts hundreds of types of birds. Kingfishers, red-tailed hawks, egrets, and golden eagles are known to make an appearance from time to time. Bald eagles love the Tennessee River Valley. Large and majestic in flight, they are the top of the food chain around the river. These two lovebirds have called the Clinch River home for the past 4 years, and each year they produce 2 successful fledglings. It's always a neat experience watching the little chicks grow from inches tall to fully grown in a matter of months. And let's not forget the other species of fish you might encounter during a day on the water. Smallmouth bass, spotted bass, and striped bass are common in a lot of our tailwaters, and from time to time we may catch a walleye, a gar, or even a carp. It's not uncommon to hear the slap of a beaver tail early in the morning or to even see a muskrat swimming across the river late in the afternoon. The fertile river valleys provide prime habitat for many animals, including deer, fox, mink, and otters. A lot of critters call the Clinch River home, and it's a true joy to observe them in such a tranquil setting. But I guess when it comes down to it, the trout are the real critters we come to see. All the others are just a bonus. I'm often asked what's the best way to catch a trophy trout. The answer is simple: go fishing. If you spend enough time on any of Tennessee's tailwaters, you're going to run into a trophy trout soon enough. I'll spend close to 200 days on the river this coming year, and while we don't always catch a trophy fish, oftentimes we do. Big opportunities come daily. Sometimes we cash in on them, and sometimes the trout take our lunch money. But I always feel like we're just one cast away from finding a really nice fish. The truth is, they're all nice fish, but the cameras usually don't come out unless somebody's caught a fish over 18 inches or so. Once you're on the water with your fly rod in hand, well, you're halfway to your trophy catch. The next thing you have to do is present your fly well, and the presentation needed for the situation or style has to be carried out to the best of your ability. For most anglers, your best effort will do just fine. Just remember these tips. When nymphing, when in doubt, go smaller. First with your tippet, then with your fly pattern. For dry fly fishing, observe the fish activity for several minutes before you make your first presentation. You'll likely be able to pick out the trophy fish from the common fish. Now target the big trout's timing and go after it first. Make that first presentation count because it'll be your best chance at fooling the big fish. When you see fish rising but not breaking the surface, Well, that's the time to break out your soft tackles and wet flies. Fishing them on a tight line with an erratic strip pattern can be deadly. Overall, you just have to strive to be the bug. Just make your fly do just like the naturals you're imitating and you'll be hooked up before you know it. Once you're hooked up to that trophy trout, keep your rod tip high to the sky and hold on. This gives you a lot of cushion to absorb a hard head shake or a deep dive, but be ready to bow to the trout at any moment. Once you feel the trout pulling your rod tip towards the water, let the drag of your reel go to work on stopping the charge. Once you get the hang of this, well, you'll be an unstoppable force when it comes to landing nice fish on small tippets. Of course, there's hundreds of methods and tips to being a successful trout angler, but I've found that when my clients follow these tips, we get to use our cameras more often. Fly selection is the burning question that comes up every day before you hit the water, but I don't think it's the most important part of the day. In fact, I think most anglers can be successful fishing whatever flies and techniques they're comfortable with, mainly because they'll fish those flies with more confidence. But in general, our fly patterns and styles flow with the seasons. Winter is spent fishing nymphs and streamers mostly. Wet flies, nymphs, and dry flies begin emerging in the spring, and all of these styles will work well then. Summer is filled with everything from big hoppers to tiny midge-emergers. Streamers and nymphs will become more important as fall brings on cooler weather and spawning fish. Matching what the fish are taking isn't all that hard. Just take a few minutes to observe, then see what you have in the fly box to match it with. Good luck and enjoy the great opportunities to fly fish for trout in Tennessee. Please use extreme caution when fly fishing for trout in Tennessee. It's known to cause fun but serious moments of a euphoric nature as well as extreme pleasure accompanied with a zen-like relaxation factor. And, well, it's also highly addictive and some have been known to sell off anything they can get a hold of just to get that new fly rod in their hands. If you feel you've gotten in too deep and have a problem with fly fishing in Tennessee, I can help. I'd like to take a moment to thank everyone for joining me on this short look into the Tennessee fly fishing experience. I'd also like to thank all my loyal clients for keeping me busy all these years. It's been a privilege to share the rivers with you all. If you'd like to join me on the river one day in the future, just give me a call or text at 865-388-9802 or check out our website at www.rockytopanglers.com. I'll see you on the river.